Some buses were built to carry passengers in comfort. Others came from ideas so oversized, strange, and impractical that they seem to defy all logic. These are vehicles that are too long, too tall, too heavy, or simply far too extreme for the job they were given. But how far can a manufacturer go before turning a bus into a complete absurdity on wheels? And what happens when someone combines public transportation with military trucks, boats, hotels, and giant homes? Get ready for a journey through 10 buses that stood out, not only because of their size or technology, but also because of the questionable decisions behind their designs. Stay until the end, because the final vehicle on this list pushed the idea of an articulated bus to a level that few cities would even have room to handle. 1947, GMC Silversides bus. At a time when traveling by bus across the United States was already a major adventure, the GMC Silversides arrived like a rolling showcase. Built during the second half of the 1940s by General Motors Bus Division, it earned its nickname from the ribbed aluminum panels along its sides. Under the sunlight, those polished panels made it look far more modern than almost anything else on American highways at the time. Depending on the version, the Silversides used a rear-mounted Detroit diesel inline 6-cylinder engine. The best-known setup displaced about 7 liters, or roughly 426 cubic inches, and produced between 165 and 190 horsepower. That may not sound impressive compared with modern buses, but its low-end pulling power was enough to move a huge body loaded with passengers, luggage, fuel, and everything needed for long-distance travel. The transmission was manual, with gearing designed for highway use, while rear-wheel drive sent the engine's power directly to the drive axle. The suspension relied on heavy-duty axles and reinforced springs. It was dependable, but it also transferred plenty of road vibration into the passenger compartment. The Silversides served extensively on long-distance routes, and after retirement, many examples began an even stranger second life. Several were converted into giant motorhomes with kitchens, beds, bathrooms, and even small living rooms where rows of passengers once sat. That transformation helped turn the model into a collector's item and a symbol of the golden age of American highway travel. If turning an old intercity coach into a full-size house already sounds excessive, the next vehicle proves that Mercedes-Benz also knew how to create something enormous and unconventional. Mercedes-Benz O6600H. In the early 1950s, while Europe was still rebuilding its cities, roads, and transportation systems, Mercedes-Benz introduced a bus that looked massive by the standards of the time. Built in Germany, the O6600H used a layout that was still unusual in that era. Its engine was mounted in the rear, freeing up the front of the body and giving the driver a roomier working area. The model used a Mercedes-Benz inline 6-cylinder diesel engine with about 8.3 liters of displacement and roughly 145 horsepower. It was designed to run for long hours and deliver strong, low-end power when pulling away with a full passenger load. Performance was calm rather than quick, with a top speed of about 50 miles per hour, depending on weight, body style, and road conditions. A 0 to 60 time was not published, because that kind of speed was beyond the intended use of many versions. The transmission was manual, with shorter lower gears to help move the heavy body from a stop. Rear-wheel drive received power from the engine mounted behind the passengers. The suspension used solid axles and reinforced springs, a tough combination designed for rough streets and poorly maintained roads. It delivered durability, but ride comfort was nowhere close to what passengers expect from modern buses. Its tall front end, round headlights, and large windows gave the O6600H a serious and imposing appearance. Inside, it was spacious for its time, although passengers seated in the back traveled with the noise, heat, and vibration of the large rear-mounted engine. If placing an engine that large behind the passengers already seemed bold in the 1950s, the next Mercedes took the opposite approach and placed the driver almost beside the machinery. Mercedes-Benz O3500. Before buses adopted rear-mounted engines and quiet passenger compartments, many of them were little more than truck-based platforms adapted to carry people. Introduced in the late 1940s and produced in post-war Germany, the Mercedes-Benz O3500 followed that formula closely. Its simple, rugged construction made repairs easier during a period of damaged roads and limited resources. Up front was a Mercedes-Benz OM312 inline six-cylinder diesel engine with about 4.6 liters of displacement, or roughly 280 cubic inches. It produced around 90 horsepower and delivered its pulling power at low engine speeds. That was enough to transport passengers through cities and along highways, although any long uphill grade forced the engine to work hard. The transmission was manual, usually with 5 gears, and worked with rear-wheel drive, solid axles, and reinforced leaf springs. Top speed was generally between 43 and 50 miles per hour. A 0 to 60 time was never really part of the conversation, because the bus could not reach that speed in its original configuration. Its long front end made the O3500 look like a truck covered in windows. The driver worked close to the engine's heat, diesel smell, and mechanical noise, while passengers felt much of the road through the suspension. Even so, the model served in city, highway, and school transportation, becoming a symbol of Germany's transportation recovery. Enjoying this trip through some of the strangest buses ever built? Then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next video. And if this Mercedes still looked conventional, the next bus added a second floor and became one of London's greatest transportation icons. AEC Routemaster. Few buses carry as much identity as the AEC Routemaster. Introduced in London during the 1950s and placed into regular service in 1959, it was developed by the Associated Equipment Company in partnership with London Transport. The goal was to replace heavier designs with a lighter, more agile vehicle that could handle the crowded streets of the British capital. Early versions used inline six-cylinder diesel engines, generally displacing about 9.6 liters and producing close to 115 horsepower. The torque helped with frequent starts in heavy city traffic, while top speed was usually around 40 to 47 miles per hour. A 0 to 60 time was never part of the design goal, and in practice was well beyond the bus's normal performance. Much of the fleet used an automatic transmission with short gearing, suited to urban driving. Rear-wheel drive worked with reinforced suspension, while the aluminum structure helped reduce weight. Its double-decker layout allowed it to carry many passengers while using relatively little road space. But it also created a vehicle that was tall, narrow, and sensitive in tighter turns. Inside, a narrow staircase connected the two levels, while the open rear platform allowed quick boarding. That same design also encouraged passengers to jump on and off while the bus was still moving, something that would be unthinkable by modern safety standards. The deep engine note, basic seats, and elevated view from the upper deck made every ride feel unmistakably London. The Routemaster became a symbol of the city, appearing in movies, advertisements, souvenirs, and private collections. Even with its fame, the design gradually became outdated in terms of accessibility and safety. And if a double-decker bus already seemed unusual in traffic, the next machine leaves ordinary pavement behind and enters the world of mining trucks. Tatra Phoenix 8x8. This is where the idea of a bus starts to get completely out of control. The Tatra Phoenix 8x8 was born in the Czech Republic as a heavy truck designed for mining, construction, and extreme terrain. Some conversions transformed this brutal chassis into passenger carriers that look more like expedition buses mounted on military-grade machinery. Depending on the configuration, it uses an inline six-cylinder diesel engine with about 13 liters of displacement, producing more than 500 horsepower and over 1,800 pound-feet of torque. The transmission can be automated or fully automatic, built to move massive loads at low speed. Acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour is not the priority, and top speed is usually limited to preserve safety and stability. Its biggest advantage is the full-time 8x8 drivetrain, which sends power to all 4 axles. Tatra's signature independent suspension allows the wheels to follow severe terrain without twisting the chassis excessively. That allows the vehicle to push through mud, rocks, snow, and destroyed roads, where a normal bus would become stuck almost immediately. From the outside, it is tall, wide, and intimidating. The enormous tires, elevated cab, and passenger body make anyone standing nearby look small. The interior depends on the conversion and may include passenger seating, equipment compartments, and expedition storage. The engine has a deep, heavy sound, and driving requires care because the high center of gravity makes fast cornering a very bad idea. These vehicles solve a specific problem by carrying crews to mines, remote construction sites, and regions without conventional roads. At the same time, they reveal how excessive the concept can become. Using an 8x8 mining truck as a bus means carrying extra weight, burning enormous amounts of fuel, and occupying far more space than almost any road vehicle. If this already looks like a land monster, the next bus was built to carry passengers into frozen regions where even this Tatra might struggle. Terra Bus. When the road disappears and the route becomes nothing but ice, snow, and rough terrain, a normal bus is no longer useful. That is exactly why the Canadian company Foremost developed the Terra Bus, a massive vehicle built to carry passengers through remote areas. It became especially famous at the Columbia Icefield in Canada, where it takes tourists into places that cars and conventional buses could never reach. Depending on the year and version, the Terra Bus uses an inline 6-cylinder diesel engine, producing roughly 250 to 300 horsepower. Its power is delivered at low engine speeds because the goal is not to move fast, but to move a very heavy body across slippery surfaces. A 0 to 60 time does not apply, and operating speed remains low to maintain control and safety on the ice. The transmission is automatic and works with full-time all-wheel drive and heavy-duty suspension. Its giant, low-pressure tires distribute the vehicle's weight across a larger surface area, reducing the risk of sinking into deep snow. That setup allows it to cross terrain that would stop a highway coach within a few yards. Up close, the Terra Bus looks like a small building on wheels. Its elevated body, tall steps, huge windshield, and tires nearly as tall as a person give it an overwhelming physical presence. Inside, it resembles a sightseeing coach with rows of seats and large windows, but the sound of the engine and the slow movement across a glacier create a completely different experience. Beyond tourism, vehicles of this type can also transport crews and supplies in isolated regions. Even though it is highly effective in the environment it was built for, it is wide, heavy, slow, and almost useless on an ordinary city street. And the next machine becomes even stranger because it leaves dry ground and drives directly into the water. AmphiCoach. At first glance, the AmphiCoach looks like a modern sightseeing bus. The surprise comes when it leaves the street, drives straight into the water, and continues the journey as a boat. Developed in the United Kingdom beginning in the 2000s, it was created for tourist operations in coastal cities and areas with rivers, removing the need to switch vehicles halfway through the trip. Depending on the version, it uses an inline 6-cylinder diesel engine for road travel, producing close to 300 horsepower. In the water, propulsion can come from separate water jets or propellers, allowing the vehicle to cruise at low speed. A 0 to 60 time is irrelevant for a machine like this, while road speed can approach 62 miles per hour under suitable conditions. The transmission is automatic, with rear-wheel drive on land and reinforced suspension supporting the tall, heavy body. Once it enters the water, the driver switches to the marine control system, and steering no longer depends only on the front wheels. The entire lower body must function as a sealed hull, making the design far more complex than that of a conventional bus. Inside, it offers sightseeing seats, large windows, and a raised view for passengers. From the outside, its long body and high profile make the water entry look risky, especially when the wheels disappear and the vehicle begins to float. The AmphiCoach solves an interesting problem by allowing tourists to explore both streets and waterways without interrupting the trip. At the same time, it combines two vehicles into one heavy, expensive, and highly specialized machine. And if driving a bus into the water already seems strange, the next vehicle turns the same idea into an even more theatrical tourist attraction. Lady Dive. If the AmphiCoach already seemed unusual, the Lady Dive turns the same concept into an even more eye-catching sightseeing experience. Operated in Canada, especially on tours through Ottawa and Gatineau, this amphibious vehicle was built to drive through city streets and then enter the river, taking passengers from an urban tour to a water cruise without changing vehicles. Its mechanical setup varies depending on the specific unit, but it normally combines an inline 6-cylinder diesel engine with an automatic transmission. On land, power goes to the rear axle. In the water, a separate propulsion system takes over to move and steer the vehicle. Exact output can vary, but the design emphasizes low-speed pulling power, control, and reliability rather than acceleration. The suspension is reinforced to support the weight of the body, passengers, and all the equipment required to keep the vehicle afloat. A 0 to 60 time makes no sense for this kind of machine, and road speed remains moderate. In the water, the Lady Dive moves slowly and carefully, especially while entering and leaving the river. Visually, it looks like a sightseeing bus crossed with a tour boat. The tall body, large windows, and bulky hull draw attention wherever it goes. When the wheels disappear below the surface, the engine continues to rumble, but the sensation changes completely because passengers realize they are floating inside something that was driving through traffic only minutes earlier. The Lady Dive became a well-known attraction because it turns the act of traveling into part of the show. At the same time, it requires complicated maintenance, constant inspections, and operators trained to control it both on land and on water. But the next bus leaves the rivers behind and takes an even more unusual approach by turning an old vehicle into an enormous handmade home on wheels. 1950, Peacemaker Bus. The Peacemaker Bus began with a completely different purpose from that of a conventional bus. Built on the foundation of an old American vehicle from the 1950s, it was gradually transformed into a huge communal home on wheels. Instead of carrying passengers on regular routes, its mission became transporting groups, musicians, and travelers on long journeys. Its mechanical setup depends on the modifications made during the conversion, because the vehicle underwent extensive changes over the years. Versions associated with this kind of build use an inline 6-cylinder diesel engine, paired with either a manual or adapted automatic transmission. Horsepower is almost secondary, because the real challenge is moving a long, heavy body filled with furniture, equipment, instruments, and supplies. It uses rear-wheel drive and reinforced suspension to handle the extra weight created by the conversion. Performance is slow, and a 0 to 60 time makes little sense for a vehicle this large. Top speed is usually kept moderate, because every curve demands careful attention to height, length, and the way weight is distributed inside. From the outside, the Peacemaker looks like a combination of a vintage bus, an oversized motorhome, and a handmade house. The body attracts attention through its size and unusual finish, while the interior may include beds, a kitchen, community areas, and storage for musical equipment. Every rattle, vibration, and tight maneuver reminds you that it was never originally designed to function as a residence. The vehicle became known through road trips, cultural gatherings, and community projects, turning it into a symbol of an alternative lifestyle on wheels. But converting an old bus into a giant house also creates high fuel consumption, difficult maintenance, and serious parking problems. And the next vehicle takes that excess even further, because it was built with 2 passenger levels inside an articulated body of almost unbelievable proportions. Neoplan Jumbocruiser tour bus. Introduced by the German manufacturer Neoplan in 1975, the Jumbocruiser was designed as an articulated double-decker bus. At about 59 feet long and nearly 13 feet tall, it looked more like a moving building than a touring coach. Its size allowed it to carry a huge number of passengers, but it turned tight corners, narrow streets, and parking areas into constant challenges. Depending on the configuration, it used a Mercedes-Benz V12 diesel engine with about 16 liters of displacement and more than 300 horsepower. High torque was necessary to move the heavy articulated body, while the automatic transmission and rear-wheel drive helped during long highway trips. Top speed was close to 62 miles per hour, but acceleration was never its specialty. Air suspension improved comfort on both levels and helped control the vehicle's enormous weight. The central articulation point required serious attention from the driver, especially during slow maneuvers. A small miscalculation could send the rear section into another lane or leave the bus trapped in a narrow entrance. Inside, stairs, hallways, and large windows created the feeling of being inside a hotel on wheels. Some examples were converted into tour buses with beds, kitchens, lounges, and rest areas for bands and road crews. It was essentially a small, articulated house traveling down the highway. The Jumbocruiser became rare because of its cost, complexity, and difficulty operating in normal traffic. Even so, it entered transportation history as one of the most excessive buses ever built. It did not simply occupy the road. It seemed to demand that the entire road adapt to its presence. Today, we saw buses that completely challenged common sense by combining public transportation with homes, boats, extreme trucks, and true buildings on wheels. Some were practical, others were wildly excessive, but all of them proved that human creativity has no limits when it comes to building unforgettable machines. Now tell us in the comments, which of these buses had you seen before? Which one was the strangest on the list? And which one would you actually want to ride in? If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That tells YouTube this content is worth recommending, helps the channel grow, and allows more people who love incredible vehicles to discover our videos. See you in the next one.